Happiness is a state when nothing is missing. When nothing is missing, your mind shuts down and stops running into the past or future to regret something or to plan something. Alrighty, so welcome to the seventh episode of the School of Athens. And just before we recorded this, a thought popped into my brain. I'm like, I think if you publish 21 episodes, you are in the top 1%. 21 episodes, you're on the top 1% of podcasters.
Let's go.
I think this is our seventh one. So we are a third of the way
Let's
there.
go. Okay. We're making progress. And I'm actually, obviously doing something like this is quite daunting, like anything when you start. But as you get into the process, it's actually so fun. It's almost like an outlet of like your own ideas, paradigms, like all these thoughts in your head and like just discussing it. So for example, like the previous one that we did, all those segments, I fairly enjoyed that one as well. And I think, a podcast is an awesome tool to not only share the thoughts that you have with other people, but to also just work through your own thoughts, you know?
And it's the same as when we went to the gym today. There was a lot of friction. It's like we had a big meal. We were walking like an hour, through like the ghetto area of Bali. Like we were just tired, a lot of sun. Like we just didn't feel like going to the gym at all. But once you get going, it's like just tell yourself, just do it for 5 minutes. Like any type of work, when you have to do deep work on your laptop, go to the gym. Any work where it's like there's this barrier, there's like this friction, just do it for 5 minutes, or even 1 minute, and then you just get in the flow, and it's fun. Like I went to the gym, I had an amazing time, but like beforehand, I was like, it's not. Just do it for 5 minutes. Like, can you go to the gym for 5 minutes? That's all you need to do. As with the podcast as well, like just do it for 5 minutes, and then you will see you get in the flow. It actually gets fun. So it's just that little bit of friction that you have to go through.
I agree. So let's actually identify what is the topic of today's talk or today's podcast. It is the topic's name is, or the topic for today is, the Great Masculine Divide. What? What?
The Great Male Filter.
The Great Male Filter. I think this is an extremely good topic. Andro and I actually spoke about this a couple of days ago. And in fact, you can sort of elaborate for what it's all about.
Yeah. So I just want to give credit. Like we obviously not a big channel at all, but like I just want to give credit to First Man. Like he came up with this idea. So it's not like we are the... we just want to share our perspective, our ideas with it. So essentially, as a male, like your best years essentially later in life, all right? So a lot of people, they, you get most of your success later in life, in your 40s, in your late 30s. It's like 36 is like the age where everything is like there's a lot of statistics done and like you look your best, you make the most money, like even down to bone structure, like everything is just perfect. Like that's your peak, basically. It's 36. But it's not to talk about that. The Great Male Filter is essentially the age is 28, all right? And that's the age where you can see who has worked on himself and who hasn't. For example, when I was younger, I started going to the gym when I was 16. And, by the time I was 19, 20, let's say 19, so 3 years of going to the gym, right? Which is a, pretty decent time. I still looked the same as every other friend in my friend group, like all the people in my school. Like I looked rather the same, not much bigger, because it's like you have to let time elapse. There needs to be a lot of progress that needs to happen over time. But that's essentially like the gist
I think
of
that's good. To add to that, I mean, if you just take, for example, going back to high school, a very good sort of way to see that is that results is the byproduct of hard work and or basically just inputs, and it's very delayed. And so when you are younger, first of all, the quality of our inputs is not as good. You don't have enough, time and attention with like new paradigms and good ways and systems to really sort of optimize your inputs to get better output. So first of all, that's also, you haven't really exposed yourself to enough information to really optimize your in and outputs. But secondly, and basically what that also just means is that people that are naturally gifted, that are naturally have better genetics or just bigger or born earlier in the year tend to be smarter, bigger, healthier, look better, up until a certain point where your inputs and the results and fruits of your inputs then take over. And that is where, hard work beats talent. If talent doesn't work hard, that entire cliche thing. And I actually heard an exceptionally awesome sort of like a reel on Instagram about a boxing coach. And he basically just said something down the line of like, on one particular night, if you just work extremely hard, you put in the effort, years and years and years, determination, consistency, no matter your ethnicity, your skin color, where you come from, how rich your parents were, your background, none of that matters, because on one specific night, you can level the playing field by just working extremely hard. And that's essentially what the age 28 means is, you can put extreme effort into working hard in your younger sort of like years, like 20, 21, 22, 23, and you can have no results. No one will know you're working hard. And that is sort of like, that is when the grind, that is what it is. Like us doing this, like working, over the weekends or whatever. This is what it's all about, because we're not necessarily going to see the results right now, but if we consistently do this over time, at 28, that is when you will see all the results of your hard work. And then you will be able to see, and that's what Andro said earlier, is on the age of 28, you'll be able to see who worked on themselves in their 20s and who went out and partied and sort of tapped into not delayed gratification, but just gratification, like present gratification.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
And also, there's this thing that Messi said, I just wanted to get the exact date right. So he said, it took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, and talent obviously helps a lot, especially genetics and all that. We were, when we finished the gym, we went through a few like gym guys' photos, or it like popped up on our feed, and this guy's massive. So obviously genetics play a big role, but if you don't actively work hard every single day, like the genetics won't really do anything.
First of all, the problem with the genetics card is that if you don't have a good card, you suck. That's just it is what it is. Like you need to play with your strengths here. So we all can only be the best we can possibly be. You know what I mean? So if you just don't have insane genetics to sing well, like you can work hard to try and sing as good as you can, but like on the end of the day, you're probably not going to be a Justin Bieber. You need to play with your strengths. So, and that's just like with the genetics thing, is like you can sort of level the playing field a bit by just working harder than the guy with genetics. So, and in areas like making money or maybe looking extremely big that is genetics, but being healthy and looking good, everyone can look good. Everyone can be lean, be healthy, be tanned without having extremely good genetics or whatever. That just comes with hard work and determination, but making money as well. Like that's not necessarily something that you need good genetics for. Like maybe some people are naturally a bit more inclined to work under higher amounts of stress. And so maybe that would be a better position for them to be into sales or whatever. So self-realization, knowing yourself, and then analyzing your strengths and your weaknesses, and then trying to play with those strengths and those weaknesses. Just identify the cards you have in your hand and then try and play the best hand you possibly can. And that's what it's about. And it takes time to realize who you are and to understand who you are. That's what your 20s are for, in my opinion. Don't waste the weekend by tapping into instant gratification. Like there's a time and place for that. But if you want to reach extreme success at an early age, you have to pay the price. And the price is to do what other people are not doing. And that is, one way is to just work more than they are working. So
yeah, and Kobe Bryant, like one of the best, basketball players of all time, he would literally work, go to the gym 4 times a day. So he would wake up at 4, right? And then he was at the gym at 4:45 or something. And then he would get back, spend some time with family, breakfast, and then he would go eat another session, right? And then would get back, eat some more food, another session, and then an evening or night session as well. So four times the effort than the people just going once, right? And then he said in 4 years he was at that stage, right? He was at the same stage. So he started like way below. he didn't have the genetics. Like, he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, like, he wasn't the tallest, like, none of that. Yet, like, not the best genetics at all, but he just worked 4 times harder. And in 4 years, he was at the equilibrium, like, he was at the same level. And then that compounding effect and that acceleration, he still did the 4 times a week, right? And then he said, like, no one could catch up with me.
Yeah.
Because he was just putting in the work when they were just going once. You just have to work 4 times as hard. And Alex Hormozi also talks about this. You need to, when you're starting out, like, I think entrepreneurship is the ultimate game, like a fair game. Like, it doesn't matter your skin color, doesn't matter anything. Literally anything. It's like a even playing field. Like, it's all the same. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Introvert, extrovert, like, it doesn't matter. It's just about how hard you work. So it's very even playing field. But yeah, so you go to a company, let's say you're starting out, you go to a company, let's say you want to do sales, and or cold calling, let's take that for example. And the cold calling guy, he calls like 100 people every single day, right? So you need to do 200, okay? Because you need to get at that level first. Like, he's obviously at a pretty good level. He's been doing it for 2-3 years. So to catch up to him, you need to work 2 times, 3 times, 4 times as hard. So you get to his stage in like 2 years, right? And then if you want to actually become great, you still need to keep up that same work ethic to accelerate that growth, and then no one can catch up with you.
And
so it's all a game of hard work.
I 100% agree with that, and I actually got like a bit of like hoendervleis, chicken skin, whatever. Okay, because we actually had a conversation right now, like outside the door when we were walking back from the gym, is you can't beat someone that loves playing the game. It's just impossible, because you get to a point like, so for example, it was Friday yesterday, Saturday. It was Friday yesterday. It was like 9 o'clock in the evening. We were eating our last meals, like a fruit bowl, easy to digest before we go to bed. We were like watching like a Soul Bra like vlog while you're wearing blood blockers. Like literally the epitome of like, not boring. Like I consciously chose to do that, obviously, but we didn't go out, we didn't go partying, all these things, and not looking down on that or like with the ego, like, oh, we don't party, but like I haven't been to one club here in 18, and I've been here for 18 days. Like usually that was something that I would indulge in, but I genuinely don't really want it to go. Like I could go if I want to. Like we're going to go out now. Like I told Andro, we need to go at least to one club. So we're going out tonight, going to be drinking some sparkling mineral water, some lemonade, probably for an hour and a half, and then head back. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that I genuinely, like a lot of people think, oh, it's so like difficult and friction to not go out over the weekends. It's, wow, how do you do it? It's like, oh, bro, like I genuinely enjoy like working, or at least trying to figure things out, you know, because it's tough to sort of curate and actualize the ideal reality. Like getting here, we in Bali at a villa, like this didn't just happen overnight. Like there was a lot of stressful, hard work that had to be put in to be able to shoot this vlog or this podcast at the moment. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's when you really fall in love with the process, that's when you're going to win. Because when you consciously, without any like friction or whatever, just choose to work over Friday, like Saturday, that's when you're going to win the game. And a big goal of mine when I was younger was that I wanted every day to feel the same. Because let's say, for example, it's like a Wednesday and it's school. It's like you waking up and it's like, school, you're not less, you know, you just want to sleep, whatever. Then you wake up, let's say a week later when it's vacation and it's a Wednesday. You wake up, boom, let's go, playing video games, whatever. Like you really like, it's the same day, dude. Like the sun came up, it's the exact same day. But like what changed? And everything feels different, you know. It's just like everyone's more happier. You just don't really hear the traffic in the distance, or the food tastes better. It's a different vibe. It's a different energy that you are tapping into. And I was like, okay, why does every day not feel like this, you know? And how do I somehow curate my life to have a life that every day feels like that? And to an extent, I would say I'm on a stage, and I'm very grateful for this, where I can't differentiate between play and work. And when you get to a point of that, where it's just like the work that you're doing is so purposeful, you just choose to do that instead of tapping into pleasure, like, man, and that is your pleasure, like, then you're winning. That 100%, I believe that's an extremely good way or a good goal to at least strive for and figure out what is that for you in your 20s.
Yeah, you can't beat someone who loves, working more than playing, because his work is the play. Like you can't beat someone like that, because you would just like back in the day when you would just like go play video games and just indulge in instant gratification activities, like bag of chips right there, Coca-Cola, video games, like just all in the zone. Like that play, it's the same environment as someone who like that same energy, that same like that with someone who's working. Like you just can't beat that. Like you would do that every day, all day. So but the thing is as well, like everything now is work. Like this is work. Even going to the gym is work, because if you work on yourself, you improve your business as well, because your business is just an extension of you. So everything is really work. Even getting energy from the sun, like that's work. Reading a book is work, because that will improve your intelligence, which will then help maybe when writing an email and you close a client. Like that's all, everything intertwined. So everything is work, because everything fuels itself.
So when Andro was talking about like games, pack of chips and stuff, I was like that sounds amazing, to be honest. Like I was a big gamer back in the day. Like I absolutely love playing games, and there's a lot of ways how you can sort of like also jump from this topic. It's like, what is video games? It's basically like you're setting your goals, like that masculine pursuit of like, the guy who has like levels like 10 is like, looks like insane, like so much respect from the guys who's like at level 2. Or so you in this world developing your character to look good and to gain respect from other people in the games, like getting skins or whatever the thing is. It's mimicking the actual system and how life is supposed to be. We are a character that you can develop. If you want to look better, put on some, new wheels or whatever, level up your health bar, level up your financial bar, you'll gain more respect. If you see it as like a game, that's also a fun way to look at it, I guess. But what I actually want to try and say here is that if you look at it from a point of view, like, because now I'm thinking like, okay, I would like to play games. I think that would be good. But how much enjoyment will I get from that? Because in that moment, yes, it'll be fun. But the next morning I'll wake up and I will genuinely feel like, like I ate a bag of chips. I played some video games. I don't feel so well. Got a lot of blue light in the evening. I didn't sleep well. Couldn't recover. I'm not going to hit the gym now. I can't be as focused and work done. And so all of that, like stress and the byproduct of the sort of indulgement of that, like playing games, decreases the amount of happiness in total. And therefore it's so much better for me to then just work. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, 100%. Like just going to bed on time, and like that feeling just gives me more pleasure than instant gratification activities, because I know if I go to bed on time, I eat my last meal like a few hours before I go to sleep, I read a book, like I'll be so fresh the next morning, so I can put in my best work. And that gives me more pleasure, just to be able to work as hard as possible and as effective as possible. And by doing these activities that fuel your work and give you more energy to optimize your work, like that is more, you need to get your enjoyment from somewhere, right? If you just cut out all bad habits and bad activities, like you just have to work, all right? But that obviously takes discipline to just like completely cut it out. Like if you have an Xbox or something and you want to completely just throw it away, that's the easiest way, because if it's there, it will always like taunt you. It's like you want to play it. So, and it's easy because it's less friction. It's just instant dopamine. But the thing with work is you don't necessarily get the dopamine instantly, right? Because you have to do the work, which is rather painful now, but you'll get it, maybe in a year's time. So it's a bit more delayed. That's why so few people are actually successful, because they can't stay optimistic during the waiting time. And that's all success really is what's it? It's no lack of enthusiasm when you don't see any results, something like that. But you just keep them enthusiasm going while you don't see any results. So that's why most successful people, they just focus on creating the best inputs, because they know if they just do these actions daily,
it will happen with time.
It will just happen with time.
That's a good point. Andro basically want to say now is that success is basically summed up as someone that doesn't lose enthusiasm while gaining absolutely zero results. Like that's what it is.
So it's actually a quote from Winston Churchill. He says, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." So on your journey, you will, come across lots of failures. Like that's part of the hero's journey is like these obstacles that you need to
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like God or the universe testing you to see if you actually want this thing badly as you say you want it. So if there was no struggle, like it was easy, everyone would be doing it and it would have no value. So there needs to be obstacles, and it's just to keep that enthusiasm going when you constantly hit with rejection and failure, and just like you will experience that a lot, right? So you just need to keep that enthusiasm going, and then over time you'll just become successful.
Yeah. I actually listened to a reel of Jordan Peterson, today. I actually sent it. Did you actually listen to that reel I sent you? Because I might mess it up now when I'm saying it. But anyways, he basically just said something down the line of, the ultimate purpose of life, at least for a man, is to bear the utmost responsibility, purposeful suffering you can possibly bear. And then your purpose will reveal itself in whatever purposeful suffering you have chosen for yourself. It's almost like a vergelijking, what do you call it?
Comparison.
A comparison with, bearing your cross, like cross. Bear the heaviest cross you possibly can, responsibility upwards. It's the hero's journey. It's you identify a goal and you battle sort of your way upwards to it. It's literally, it's identifying a goal, burdening the responsibility needed to get to the goal, and in that is purposeful suffering. Because it's suffering, it's not liquor, you don't want to do it. It's not necessarily fun, but you somehow get away how you feed off of dopamine during the process. By, not playing video games, you need to get dopamine from somewhere, so then the dopamine comes from hitting your diet, hitting your macros, going on walks, getting sun maxing going, or hitting the bed, on time. Because then like you're laying in bed, you're like, oh yes, had a good day. Tomorrow's going to be even better. Boom, boom, boom. That's where the dopamine's coming from. Whereas if you're just going to indulge in games the whole time, or all these instant gratification, like you're going to make it almost impossible for yourself to really, get in the game.
And that's where we can come back to the initial kind of umbrella for we talk about the subject, which is the grad male filter, right? So that is essentially the age where you can see who's worked on himself and who hasn't, right? And it's all about just delaying everything. Like that's the biggest hack to life, is just delaying all the instant stuff, like just delaying all that. That is difficult, right? And then someone who, you can instantly see at that age, someone who's been going to the gym consistently, getting, eating healthy food, going to bed on time, and you might not even see it, like, as I mentioned, in the early 20s, like, you don't even see it. So that's where people just give up. It's like, I've been putting in all this work, maybe for 3 years, going to the gym, eating healthy, but I just look the same as everyone else. I don't look any bigger. I don't look any healthier. It's like maybe slightly, but not enough to have like a significant change. So you're like, no, this stuff is useless. But you have to realize it takes a lot of time. As I said, like 36 is the age where everything is really optimized. So 36. So if you're 20 right now, it's like still another 16 years. So if you put in that effort, right, in 16 years time, it's going to be like a completely different human being. It's like the Eckhart Tolle, the New Earth. It's like it's like that. I haven't read the book yet, but I can imagine. Let's say you can just picture this, like the guy who goes to the gym every single day, gets in his 8-9 hours of sleep, eats lots of protein, goes on regular walks, reads a lot of books. And now just imagine that, 16 years, right? And then the other guy who just, sleeps at 3 a.m., eats like Doritos, plays games, doesn't go to the gym, eats in a calorie surplus, just fat. Like, just imagine those pictures of the two. Like this jacked Giga Chad guy and like this other guy. But it takes time for the results to actually show.
And I would say, so two things from that. First of all, I would say your goal is not necessarily to be at the like ultimate 1% Giga Chad. I would think like, why not? I would say that's ideal. But like, if not, you just identify a goal and you play your cards towards that, because some people might not value it enough to like start a business or whatever and play games that evening. Okay, that is fine. Then you just need to realize that where you're going to end up after time is at a certain place, and that's sort of what you have to make peace with, So, for example, if you want to be extremely jacked and have a lot of money, identify 2 people or 2, 3, 4 people, mentors, whatever, that has done that before, that has walked through the journey, see what do they recommend you do, and then do that for 10, 20 years. You will be jacked and you will have money. Like, That's just what it is. But a lot of people, like I also say, like on that journey, there's a lot of like delayed, your results come with long, like you don't see it instantly. And it's very difficult to continue hitting the gym every single day without seeing really a lot of results. It is tough because you feel like you're wasting your time, and your friend with good genetics is just like hitting the, like partying every single day, whatever, and still looks good. Give that 10 to 15 years when the genetics like work off, and like all the byproduct and results of him tapping into instant gratification actually shows itself. Then you talk again, you know? Like, don't take the chance of tapping into those things, like waking up one day at 36 and realize like, wow, like I wasted all my younger years doing, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to wake up, be jacked, have money. So I identify people I look up to, and I do what they say I should do. And I'm just going to wait up until 36, work as hard as I possibly can towards that goal. And hopefully I'll be more jacked and have more money than I have right now. I can't see a better way to do it.
It's inevitable.
I can't see a better way to make it happen.
And also, the longer you do things, you experience this compound experience this compound growth. So this is exactly how it goes. So from like, you know, 20 to like, oh, there's a lot of, you know, jack people like 28 or so, but like, let's say 18 to like 24. Let's just say that. Like, it's this curve that looks like this, right? And then it spikes like that. So from 18 to like, let's say 24, you're putting in all the work, you're reading all these books, you're taking, you know, working on your business, you know, going to the gym every single day, eating healthy. Like 18 to 24, like there's this minimal growth you see. So it's not like you don't see anything, right? And that's when most people quit. It's that gray area. We don't see any results. But just give it another like 10 years from 24 to like 34. It's this exponential curve. So, and the reason, you know, it's good to watch podcasts and read books and study mentors, because then you know if you just take that action, right, you will then experience the results later on in life. But if you don't know that, if you don't, like, you don't know what you don't know, like, you don't know that if you go to the gym for 10 years, you will get an amazing physique. Like, you just don't know that. You think, okay, this is it. Like, this is how I'm going to look forever. And you just think that, you're more likely to give up. But if you learn from people who say, like, read a book every single week, like, in 10 years, you will be, I think Naval also said this, if you read for 1 to 2 hours a day, you are in the top 0.00001% of people who read.
Yeah.
So you are smarter than like literally everyone in the world. So just by reading 1 to 2 hours, but you think like, oh, I read 1 to 2 hours a day, and the next day, like, you can't even remember what you read. It's like you read this book, and like, you know, the following day, like, what did I actually read? You don't even know. But just over time, it's this knowledge on knowledge on knowledge. It says compounds. It compounds, and then you experience this acceleration.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I also read a statistic which said if you read a book a month for 2 years, so essentially 24 books on a single topic, you are classified as an expert in that topic with like the amount of knowledge that you gain. So, I mean, that just opens a lot of doors. Like, I mean, if you want to, for example, let's take money as an example. If you want to start a business and make money, don't complain about your lack of results if you haven't read 24 books on the topic. Now, 24 books can also be like a really good lengthy course, maybe, you know, or like there's a lot of ways that you can sort of, you know, clarify the inputs or whatever. I would say reading is definitely like, it's different, because especially if you have the actual book, like the physical, like that, the knowledge just there, it's different. There's a intimate, like almost like a spiritual relationship with the book. You can actually like jump into the book. So actually reading it out loud is definitely different when you're getting knowledge like that compared to a audio book or whatever. I would say the best way to do it is to read and then have the audio book like in your ears, and literally just like scanning it, and the audiobook's on 2 times speed, and you're reading it while you're listening to it. Like, that's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, I would definitely say like, especially in a time and place where we are right now, I would say a big balance for us at the moment is the balance between inputs and outputs. So for example, like learning and building, or learning and creating. So like yeah, so that is something to also take into consideration when you're like going into a sort of like a business like a
It depends. It's all stages. Like, well, it's with everything. It's like going to the gym as well. You have your training, and then you have your recovery, right? You have your learning and gathering information, and then you have the building. So it's all phases, but let's say you are in a maintenance phase. It can be like 50-50, 50% creation, 50% learning. Maybe with bodybuilding, it's like you just eat maintenance, not more, not less. So it's all stages. Like we are at a stage right now where we're going to build like the number one community in South Africa. So like we have enough information at this stage to execute on that. Obviously, over time, we'll learn more things. And as you build and as you create, you also learn a lot. So it's not like we're going to read one or two books and it's going to have some dramatic change on our entire trajectory.
Monumental input.
It's not going to do anything. So by just going through a phase of just strictly building, and maybe an hour before you go to sleep you read, and that's even more than enough. Like most people, the average American reads 15 minutes a day. So like, if you just read 1 to 2 hours,
you're
on
still
the top,
doubling the average.
It's like it's not that difficult. Like the standard, the bar is so low. Like we said at the beginning, 21 podcasts, and you are in the top 1%. Top 1. Like top 1% is not even like, there's a lot of YouTube videos like how to become a top 1% man. That's super easy. Like top 1%, it's not even like, if you just try, it's easy. But like, top 1% easy. But above that, it's like cutthroat. It's like you just like everything is dialed in. All right. Top 1%, like if you're struggling with that, like come on, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So we had to do a quick stretch just to loosen up the legs. The leg switch is absolutely crucial.
I actually I'm sort of in a place now where I am really dialing in. Like I changed a bit of like my gym routine or what type of exercise I'm focusing on. So I'm doing a lot of mobility work, focusing on more like healthy type of movements, trying to open my body. I'm doing some jogging now as well, which I never really did before. And for example, this morning, I went for a 5K run. Directly after that, Andro and I was like, okay, we know where the gym is. Let's take a completely different route in an area we have no idea like what's going on there, and let's just intuitively let the universe guide us to the gym. Let's not use Google Maps. Let's make this interesting. And we literally got like lost. We were like walking for like an hour or something, hour 20 minutes. We were like straight up like in. Like, I don't even know where we were, but we went to like the Grab headquarters. Like, that's like that was like the Uber driver, like it was great. Yeah. So anyways, then we actually found the gym intuitively, but only looking on Google Maps like once. So I would say that's the W, but we obviously walked for an hour and 20 minutes. Then I hit a crazy gym, like a gym sesh, doing a lot of leg workout and stuff. So my legs were like dead. And like sitting like this is quite taxing. But, we obviously got the sun healing us at the moment, and
just a win-win. We wanted to get sun exposure today, so it was like, why not just shoot the
podcast in the sun? What do you mean?
So yesterday as well, I got like 2 hours of sun. I don't think my body is a bit, I don't know, I got like a virus or something, so that's why I might sound a bit strange. But like the sun, like that amount, I think it kind of hit my body a bit too much.
Yeah. I would say, so this is something that I actually, I realized. So obviously we are especially coming from Thailand and Bali, obviously we were both ill, in Thailand, and which is very weird because like we really never get ill. Like that's not something that we are used to, and I would say there's a lot of factors
part of our identity.
Yeah,
it's like
it's not part of our identity, but I would say the biggest changes is obviously there's obviously a lot of like little environment changes, the different foods, whatever. Bali, I would say we're a lot more on point with our usual diet. It's just less red meat, but everything else sort of dialed. Thailand was a bit more all over the place, especially going with the family, that's not really as health conscious and stuff like that. So, that was a bit more fair game. But I would say the biggest difference as well that played a role in us getting a bit sick is obviously we're in a warmer sort of climate. So the aircon and like the fan, like the wire, it's always on. It's always on us, on the face. It's like while we're sleeping. And if you think about it, what do these things do? It cools the environment, but also makes it very dry. It just recycles the air the whole time, and it takes the moisture out of it. So what does that do? If there's a lot of dry air hitting your face, it's going to dry up your throat, your nose, and that's going to increase the saliva that your body is sort of like producing. So that's why when you wake up, your nose is blocked, and that's sort of like like hurt your throat. And I would say if you like one day, if you just like sleep with your mouth open, with the like fan like full on hitting you, and your immune system is a bit lower, you're gonna get sick 100%. So as soon as I started or stopped doing that, and I taped my mouth closed for like 3 nights, and I was healed. So yeah.
Does that cause like sickness though? Is that like
well, no,
is that
well,
sickness
I would
or?
say not like sickness, but like I mean your throat hurts, and like that's what causes that, and your nose is like closed, and then maybe you're even brainwashing yourself to like, oh, my nose is blocked and my throat is sore, I'm sick, and then like you're telling your body like you are sick, be sick, and then your body gets sick. So yeah, I would say I mean that's something I experienced. Try it out for yourself. Like if you get sick, like especially in the summer or whatever, and you're like hitting the aircon and the fan the whole time, put it off. It might help. It might help.
So just to get back on topic of what we were talking about, but yeah, that's definitely I think you can try with a Via. But anyway, so
the aircon,
back to the great male filter. The thing is as well, like when you are younger, especially as a man, it's like you're instantly less respected. If you're like 20 and like 30, it's like it's just normal. Even though let's say the 20-year-old makes the same amount of money, it's all about. It's like you just when you're older, that level of respect just rises. I don't know how to explain this. In business, it's pretty big as well, but especially now with like the social media marketing agency, I think that might be a bit different because when you are younger, it's like you are seen as more proficient at the task because these young kids grew up with social media, so they have a very good intellect and very good understanding of the social media. So when people say, oh, like I'm too young, it's like use that to your advantage, especially in the social media marketing. I literally had a call with someone. He started entrepreneurship when he was like 6 years old.
That is when you told me that, I was like, what do you mean 6 years old? That is crazy. Imagine seeing a POV YouTube video where guys a POV of a 6-year-old entrepreneur daily routine. Are you kidding me?
Like he was dialed, the meditation, the journaling, the deep work, the going to the gym, like he was like, but I think there's definitely a balance where like you kind of have to enjoy your childhood. You only get one childhood.
I like what you said because directly after that I told Andro, is that the goal? Like, I mean, is that how you want your lighty to grow up? And he basically just said like, he's not really going to force his kids into sort of like entrepreneurship or self-development or whatever. It's sort of going to be more of a byproduct of them seeing how he's going to live his life. I think that's the best way to do it is people learn the best by example, 100%. So especially like obviously, whenever I'm a father, like that's 100% what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to obviously execute what I believe to be true, and then hopefully by example, your kid will follow.
Yeah, so your children's also going to start way sooner. So it's like, I think when parents like push that onto their children, it's like they
resent it.
They want the child to be like them when they were younger. So like they wish they started reading sooner. They wish they started working on themselves sooner. Like, going to the gym sooner, eating healthier sooner. So they push those what do you even call that?
Beliefs.
Those beliefs on their children as quickly as possible and as harshly as possible because they feel like, if they can't do it, like at least my son will, and I will get that same feeling of success and achievement from my son doing it and not me.
That's pretty, it's like, I don't want to be in that, I don't want to be there where you're like, okay, I never made it. I never had a successful life. I'm going to give it, like.
No, you see that a lot. Like I'm not going to name any names because one, you don't even know them, and two, I don't want to do that. But like I know a lot of parents who like they force their children so much because they're kind of a loser. They're like, they are a loser, so like my son needs to at least be successful so that like I can get that same feeling of acknowledgement, the same feeling of pride.
I think there's obviously like a good and a bad way of that. Like there's obviously a very honorable, virtuous, like good way of like you want the best for your son and like you want him to be super successful, whatever. But like if you attach your entire ego and pride on your son being successful, then you're just gonna like force stuff. Like if he doesn't go to university, it's gonna then you're sort of mad at him. But it's
I'm not a good parent.
Yeah, but it's more like then you're more worried about your perception of yourself towards your friends and like the other people around you than what you're actually worried about your child, So, I mean, yeah, we don't have to be speaking about children right now or like grown-ups, but yeah, I would definitely say, going back again to the topic, just analyzing my own life, I would definitely say that life gets easier the older you get if you put in the work, when you were younger, because obviously the delayed gratification, the byproduct of your work only shows when you're later. And so I think that is why it's so important. And I mean, just analyzing and comparing myself to the people in my immediate surroundings, or like older friends or whatever, like not judging or anything, it's just a bit different, and I would say, comparing myself to people in my immediate surrounding, the biggest thing is I would say, or the biggest difference between, the lifestyle that I'm sort of living at the moment is just, I identified obviously a goal, but I'm just willing to sort of sacrifice, the immediate gratification of things for hopefully a more secure future. And I would say that's 100%, like, I fully believe that is the best thing you can do, is I'm willing to sacrifice my younger, years of, like, 18, 19, 20, 21, like 25, 6, whatever, really work hard, grind through the weekends, and create someone that is worthy of success, to then be able to sit at like 30, 31, 32, comfortably be able to start a wonderful family wherever I want in the world, and do whatever I want out of a place of passion and purpose. That's a very good goal, I think, to strive. And I really believe everyone should strive for that, because there's going to come a lot of people might say, like, I might be missing out a bit on partying and doing all these things and like cool memories. And there's obviously a balance between delayed gratification and immediate gratification. I would, counter that by saying I fairly enjoy being in Bali right now, like I do enjoy that. So I think it's important to identify a goal. It all starts with, what is the goal? Maybe your goal is not to be financially free. And like, fair enough, dude. Like, that's also fine. I would say, by identifying a goal, which is, I want to be this type of person, you'll then be able to see what is the price you need to pay, and then you just need to pay it. And that's all it is. There's a lot of things that come into, how do I pay the price, and continuously paying the price, and sort of imposter syndrome and brainwashing yourself that you are worthy of it in the first place. And there's a lot of things that obviously come into that. But I would say it all starts with, identify a goal, what is the price, and then pay the price. And then how do you pay the price? And that is sort of how that entire process works, I would say.
And back to the previous topic that I wanted to mention about the parents saying, oh, like a lot of parents say, oh, you should enjoy your youth. It's like the best times. They say that because they didn't work on themselves. Most like adults, most people in general don't work as hard on themselves, on the self-improvement journey, whatever. No judgment, it's just how it is. So they say, your early 20s, best year ever, just have a lot of fun, do everything, because that was their best years. They talk out of a place of ignorance, but because they didn't work on themselves, right? So you should also be very careful of who you listen to, because they didn't work on themselves. So obviously the 20s was their best time, right? So when they got in their 30s, they were broke, out of shape, maybe got a terrible job. It's like the 20s was the best year. But if you continue to work on yourself, I know even Mike Thurston, he said on a podcast, like, he's turning 32 and he says life has never been better at all. It's like his life is literally just starting now. But most adults and 32-year-olds say, oh no, 20s was the best, have a lot of fun, go out a lot. You'll never get those years back. But there's also a balance. I think Ty Lopez said this, where you want to live 50% of your life as if you're going to die tomorrow, right? And live 50% of your life as if you're going to live forever. And that's definitely a balance.
I agree with that. And I don't think you necessarily have to go extreme on either end. Like, I think, like I'm just saying, our balance is obviously key. Obviously, we're also learning just with time. Like, at the moment, I'm prescribing more to like a balanced life than like just going all out, like burnout the whole time. I would actually reckon that a balanced life is more difficult than just full on, like pumping the gas and just like all out going at it. But I would definitely say, and I 100% prescribe to the idea that I'm only going to look better with time. I'm only going to get healthier. I'm only going to make more money. I don't prescribe to being 50 and not being able to do pull-ups or be mobile. Like, I 100% believe that through the life I'm curating for myself right now, through the exercises and the protocols I'm implementing at the moment, that I will be able to set myself up for success where 40, 50, 60 is going to be just as good, if not better, than my 20s. And that's exactly what Andro just said right now, is that a lot of people that sort of indulged in immediate gratification tend to teach people around them, enjoy your 20s, go all out, go party, go drinking, do all the, like, because obviously it's fun, but the byproduct of that is that they don't set them up for success for later in life. And so then they tend to not be able to do more fun things as they get older, or they might land up in a job, and because their immediate circumstance with kids and family and a house or whatever tends to not let them they're not able to escape that current reality. They can't take any risk and really risk everything they have right now to chase their dream or their goal, because they have things to the responsibilities and things to look after, and people to serve and to take care of. Whereas if you sort of don't delay the gratification and don't go out in the first couple of years, where you don't have any responsibilities and you don't have a house and a payment and a wife or kids to take care of, you can just focus on yourself. Then you can set up yourself where you then at 32, when everyone is now focusing, trying to figure out their stuff and family, whatever, you sitting there, business is sorted, you're looking amazing, in the best shape of your life, and you are focusing on purposeful things. Then you can you're setting yourself up for success. That is, I believe, to be the best way to look at it. And I think also looking at, for example, Andro said previously, it has never been easier to be successful. And I 100.
What I'd like to add on that was it's never been easier to start a business, but it's also never been easier to do nothing.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. So my mom always says, I need to be careful of social media and what I listen to, because it's such a bad, there's so many bad things that people are spreading. It's well, that's exactly what it is. You need to be careful what you're listening to. Your inputs equal your outputs. So just curate the inputs you are getting. I would say social media is one of the best things that has ever happened to humanity, and some of the worst things. But it all depends on how you use it. Okay, because what does the internet do? Let's look at it from a positive perspective. You have infinite access to all of the knowledge that has ever existed. That is, take 200 years ago, take 100 years ago. If you wanted to know anything about a topic, you physically had to go and study. And you have no way to really even double check that information and make sure they're not brainwashing you. Now, you can maybe debate and say we have too much information, fair enough, but there's so much information out there where if you want to study fasting, you can literally go online, buy a course with the best fasting expert in the world and know everything about fasting. That is the best thing ever. Social media, follow people that you want to be like, make money. That's why the epidemic of young entrepreneurs online is so crazy and ridiculous, especially to the older generation, like my father, looking at the people that we went to with Greece, for example, and it's what? These people, how is that even possible? And it's all not necessarily because they are better at business or whatever. It's just they have a better understanding of the tool, social media, and the internet, and they just know how to utilize it, AI, all these new things that you also know how to use and can learn, 100%, and utilize that to create a business. Because the older generations, they don't know how to use these things and implement social media. And so Andro also said, when you get older, you get more respect. When you're younger, you don't have a lot of respect, and you sort of gain respect by sort of the fruits of your labor, sort of your results, whatever. When you're younger, you don't have any. And I think a lot of people identify or link age with knowledge, and seeing a younger guy, obviously he doesn't know necessarily as much as a 30-year-old, but in any case, especially with social media, for example, when people are working with young guys in the social media space, naturally you know more than the older people. So you instantly feel imposter syndrome, ooh, can I do business with this older guy? He's a full-on 60-year-old successful business. You can actually speak more about that, super successful business guy, and I'm just a 20-year-old. What do I know? It's no, you know so much more than you think you know. He doesn't even know how to post on Instagram. Like, think about that. Like, you know something that you can charge so much for, that other people will pay so much for, that you just know. Like, it's just intuitive for you.
Yeah, and I also believe it's your absolute duty, right, to utilize social media as much as possible to build a business of social media. Is like the best thing that's ever happened if you just look at the positive side, if you just incorporate the positive things, to actually use that, make money, and help your parents out. Like, if you're not doing that, I feel like you are literally wasting your life. This is like the biggest opportunity ever. Like, there's a lot of people that say it's the best time that has ever been, but everyone's anxious. It's like just, I don't know why that is, but maybe it's just there's too much information. So that's why you need to focus on one or two mentors, just go all in on them, and just focus, just like copy and mimic exactly what they do, and then you will get success pretty quickly. But failure and all that comes when you have the shiny object syndrome. They call it SOS, right? Shiny object syndrome. So we just hop from thing to thing, right? You just see, you see a TikTok of a guy, made money with drop shipping. Like, I'm gonna try that. And then the next TikTok is like a guy
Forex
who
trading,
made like
Bitcoin.
Oh, well,
What bubbles?
I thought it was like a fish or something. But like then you see someone in SMMA sign a big client and then you hop on that thing. But you need to understand, you need to build deep knowledge in a certain field. It's like Naval calls it specific knowledge on one field, so you can actually get expertise in that one field and you'll charge a lot of money, right? And a lot of calls I hop onto of people who are interested in my mentorship where I help other, business owners scale their business or start their own, SMMA. It's like they say, I do website design, I do Facebook ads, I do SEO, I do social media marketing, I do all this stuff. And they try to sound like, sophisticated and like advanced. But really when you say that, you just sound like an idiot because you need to focus on just one thing. And back to Quinton's point where it's like the old business guy, like, trust me, he didn't even have social media when he was growing up. So you have an advantage in that conversation, right? So when you're younger, it's actually seen as a benefit and an advantage because he doesn't even know anything. Or maybe if he does, well, he might know something, but he doesn't know everything. And also, some business owners just don't want to do it themselves. Like, they would rather just give it to an agency or outsource it to someone else. So they don't have to use that time and effort to learn the thing and do it themselves, where they just can focus on the business side and you focus on the promotion and the advertising side on social media.
And going back to, for example, like just knowledge and gaining information, okay? I mean, just look at Dr. Jordan Peterson, who just started an online university. That's just number one. Like, just type that in Google. Like, that just looks amazing, by the way.
Peterson Academy.
Yeah, Peterson Academy. What a great, like, that is a big move in this industry. But knowledge is power. 100%. Knowledge is power, okay? So, for example, like back in the day, like in the old ages, like, the way how the rich and the powerful sort of stay that way is just by withholding books, by withholding knowledge from the peasants and, the poorer people. And we are in a day and age of overload of information, and we just don't know how to utilize it, and we are not grateful for this opportunity. And the people that are all grateful for this opportunity, that actually know how much effort it took to get the information by walking and whatever and going to all the university and like actually physically had to open an encyclopedia and get knowledge. They don't even know how to really use the internet in the first place. So we're like in this weird mix where I would reckon we have been born in the best time to utilize this thing, because we are growing up with the internet and social media. We are naturally inclined to, we just know how it works. And if you just need that's a skill, you need to learn how to utilize the internet for your benefit. That is a skill. And if you can cultivate that, you will be 100 times more efficient than everyone else around you. Because just like we just previously said, like Naval, reading 2 hours a day, like reading 24 books, being an expert, what does the reading a book mimic? Gaining information. That's the input. And what is the internet full of? Information about different topics. Choose a topic, become an expert at it, make money through that. And bonus points if the topic that you chose is something you're naturally good at and something that you're interested in. Because then your inputs will be will give you so much more outputs, because you got a leverage like, what do you call it, like arts or whatever. You're leveraging natural talent. And if you're interested, that's another like leverage thing, because you don't mind to work more or longer, because that's just what you do.
That's where work becomes
Work
play.
becomes
because
play.
you literally want to do research on that topic. You want to know more. You want to optimize everything just because you are curious in that topic, and that topic is your work. So it's just like the ultimate.
If you can do that,
it's like perfect.
And so yeah, I would definitely say, like, cultivate the skill to utilize the internet for your benefit. And information is everything. It has changed my life, and I'm desperately seeking for more, because every question that you have, someone has wrote an entire thesis. His entire life has been dedicated to answer that question, and it's somewhere in a book. And you're ignorant enough to believe that, oh, I'm going to try and figure it out, or I'm not even going to read it. It's like, what do you mean? You know, for example, I don't know who said it, probably Socrates, okay? He said that there's nothing new under the sun. Whatever you have done and will do tomorrow, someone has already done before. And that just puts a lot of things into perspective. So if you want a successful business, read a book about someone who started a successful business. I would highly recommend start reading books that are older than 200 years. Because if they are still around, that means that they are monumentally important. There's a lot of books that are just regurgitations of previous like books of the greats. So start with the philosophers of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Plato, all these, like I've mentioned this a lot of times, but if you go to those older books, even, what's the guy's name that Jordan Peterson loves so much?
No, I have no idea.
I forgot his name. Okay, any case, read books that are older than 100, 200 years old. That is where the deep knowledge comes from.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. So the reason I was on my phone is just to get a quote. Like, I absolutely love Naval. Like, he's like I think Joe Rogan or like some famous guy said like Naval is like the modern philosopher, like the modern genius, right? And he says, spend your time in the company of geniuses, sages, children, and books, right? So that's all you should spend your time on, right? And obviously it's family and friends, but like this is like a big topic. It's just geniuses. So the way to do that is obviously in person, but that's pretty difficult. But through books, right? And sages, that's like wise men, right? So that's also through books. And then children, and then it also says books. So I would summarize it to spend your time with books and children. So why do you think he says children?
I would say there's no one is closer to God than kids. There's a sense of pure presentness in children that we lose over time. You know, that's obviously for good and bad. But if you look at a child, so Jordan Peterson actually said this. He said like his biggest regret in his entire life. I'm not sure if he said his entire life, maybe just by raising his kids or whatever. Okay, the biggest regret of Jordan Peterson's entire life is he said he regretted not experiencing in the moment, like, for example, when Michaela, his daughter, was like playing with like a butterfly or like a blomiki, like a flower with a butterfly or whatever, like being there, looking at the butterfly, like being in that moment, or like looking at the ducks or kicking a stone, like those small moments when the children are so praised, like ultimately, like literally you can just see that the only thing that's going through that child's mind is this butterfly. That's all, nothing else. And Jordan Peterson was always in that moment when, or in that time frame where his children were so young, he was focusing on a lot of things, like writing his first book, he was busy with a lot of things. So when he was actually spending time with his family, he wasn't even present. He wasn't even there. And he was sort of like, okay, let's go, Michaela, let's move, stop looking at the blomiki, whatever. And he just wished he was more present in those moments. And I think spending time with children, no matter how old you are or whatever, like you can just experience the raw sense of presentness and sort of love and acceptance in a child. And I would say that is sort of, that's something beautiful. Like a lot of people say, like for example, like the goal to finding your partner, you know, forever, whatever, is to not find someone to grow old with, but to find someone to stay young with, you know, to keep on playing, joking around, sort of being a child for the rest of your life. I prescribe to that a lot, I think. I think there's a lot of beauty in play, you know. I would say work is a form of play, but being present. On the end of the day, that's sort of what it is. We buy fast cars to be present, like driver, like when Andro had the R8, like we were going on there, like you don't think of anything else. Like that's what it is. Buying a nice watch, having a beautiful wife, going for a beautiful dinner, like being here in Bali, experiencing this right now, being able to do this. Nothing else is going through my mind except being present here right now, and that's what it's all about. And I think children are the embodiment of like pure presentness beings, you know.
That's also why I have this tattoo right here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's like
is it the moon one?
you know, like the DreamWorks. It's like when you grow older, you lose that childlike curiosity, right? It's like when you were a child, like you just, my dad would go crazy. Like I would ask why, like hukom, every single time, and he just says "want." This is how it is. But like I would just always, I was super curious, and over time, you lose that because you are lost in the work, right? So Robert Greene also says this: you want to have that childlike, you want to have the man-like discipline and the childlike curiosity. If you can mix those two, like you are absolutely set for life. And also with children, they have, as Quinton said, this like absolute present. There's like not a single thought going through their brain. Like you want to have that same presentness as a child on a plane. Like, I think Alan Moore said this, where like you have to have this baby on a plane presence. It, like if you haven't been on a plane, but like if you walk down the aisle and the baby is just like, there's not a single thought. It's just eyes, big eyes, just staring at you. Like you want that kind of presence. And when you actually embody that, you are like, when you are in a social circle, social situation, and you embody that presence, you are like a light in surrounded by moths. I don't know if that's a good metaphor, but like you are just like this internal energy surrounded by moths, and people will be attracted to that a lot if you just have that sense of presentness at all times. And that's why people meditate. That's what, just to get closer to that. That's why people do all these things and travel. That's why they are searching for this present moment state.
I agree.
The fast car does that a lot. Like when you drive fast, like you can't think about, I wish I signed that client. Like you can't think about that, because if you're not focused on the road and focused like right now, like you will crash. So that's a reason why people like fast cars. I think it's actually very good. I think Naval also said this. I have so many quotes of him. If you can buy happiness, buy it, right? It's like, why not? If you can buy that state of happiness and presence, like buy it. Like if you want the fast car, buy it. Like it does 100%. Like every single time I drove that car, like I was constantly smiling. Like I was just smiling nonstop. So like obviously it's fun. So don't, obviously people, Buddha also says like the desire is like the root of all unhappiness or suffering. But like, why not just fulfill that desire, right? Just buy that nice car. And then once you've got that, then you can, then
desire nothing.
Then you can desire nothing, because then you see, okay, it's not as fulfilling, but you need to get to that stage before you can actually
that is exactly what one of the segments we were talking about, I think it was one on the beach. We were talking about sort of someone asked Buddha, like, I want to be happy or whatever. I want what?
That's
or what
so good, so a guy walked up to Buddha and he asked, "Yo, Buddha, like I want to be happy." And he says, first, remove I, because that's ego. Remove want, because that's desire. And then you're left with happiness.
And so, that's the age-old question between, should we all stop desiring everything and then just be and become monks and just meditate the whole day and be like kids and just be? Or should we adopt purposeful suffering, bear our cross, so that other people that we're taking care of, for example, our wife and our children, are able to do that? Because you can't take care of the people around you if you don't bear suffering. If you just sit and meditate or just be in the present moment and you surf the whole time, but you can't. Because I'm not sure if Naval actually said this. This might be the only quote I actually know of Naval, but it went down the line of like, you can't have a remarkable character without enduring any suffering. You know, you can't be a good, strong, desirable, like a respected person without going through some form of suffering. So yeah, I would also say, just to latch onto the what you need to learn and sort of like surround yourself with, I would definitely also say, obviously, okay, this is also cliche. The people you surround yourself with, the 5 people, like you'll be the 6th person or whatever. I would say community is extremely important, because your not just your community, your the immediate environment, because your reality is created by the joining or the beliefs of the people around you. That's 100% what it is. If everyone around you believes a certain, let's say, for example, no one around you exercises because they don't value that, then you will tend to not value it. Or you will there will be so much more friction to then go to the gym. So if you're not really into going to the gym today, like you don't want to do it, you just write it off because no one values it anyways. But if you are in a room where everyone is fit, you are 100% going to go to the gym. And then they're going to go to the gym. It's going to be hyped up and all this. Surround yourself with people with common beliefs. Get into a community with people that have the same goals. Sort of just like surround yourself with them. And then 100% it's going to decrease the friction, and you'll be able to execute faster, better towards your goals.
Yeah. Talking about community, see you on January.
Yo. Extremely grateful to be able to finish off our Bali trip here with this last podcast. It's actually a beautiful day. It's a bit overcast, but yeah, we're gonna actually be going for a smoothie bowl now, and probably come back, do some work, and then yeah. Anyways, check you guys in the next one.
Cheers.